my desire in going over and purpose in going over was to see some of the places where Glenn worked and lived and meet some of the people that he associated with. And I feel that I got a very, very good impression of who he was, what he did, and the people that he associated with, and got a good feel for all the relationships he had, not only with expats but also Afghan people. One of the outstanding incidents for me was when my nephew went to Afghanistan too, Joe Lapp, and he and I went to visit some ladies, some expat ladies one evening, and I went and sat on a sofa, and one of them said, "Hey, that's where Glenn always sat." So it was really kind of a moving experience for me to do that.
The thing that stands out for me was being in Glenn's spaces, like Dad said, in his room. We packed up his things. We saw, all the things that my daughters and sons had sent to him. We sent a care package maybe a month before he died, and we saw a lot of that stuff there. It was things on the wall, things like this that the kids had made for him, and that kind of stuff. And so to have, and some of that had come home earlier, but to be right there in his room, packing up his things, and kind of getting a feel for his life over there, which was a strange life in Afghanistan. That was kind of the highlight or low light or whatever you want to call it for him. He was a wanderer oftentimes, and he went there kind of as the next thing in his life. It wasn't, I don't believe it was some big major calling or anything like that, but he loved the adventure of it, and he kind of made his presence felt there with all the kids that were there, the local kids and the kids of his friends that were working there. They kind of replaced my kids here, who he was such a great uncle for. So he really ingratiated himself in the community very quickly and made a mark there very quickly. It was a tough spot to do it, to transition there.
Yeah, we had spent 2.5 years in Honduras, and in fact Glenn was born in Honduras. That was in the 69 and 70s, late 69, early 70s. And I feel that was a significant influence for Glenn as well as for the other two sons, but specifically for Glenn at this point. And he in fact went back to Honduras later on as a part of his college abroad, what's called semester abroad program, I think it's called.
Yeah, well there's been a lot of support throughout, and especially initially right after, of course. But a lot of it came from MCC, the Mennonite Central Committee, and Glenn's church, Community Mennonite of Lancaster. Yeah, but then just from people who knew people who knew people, who his lives touched or didn't touch, just heard about the story. We've heard from so many different people, so lots and lots of photos, articles, and things like that. So that's been really nice. I mean, it'd be nice to have Glenn here. It's kind of the bottom line. So it's been a pretty, we've all kind of dealt with it differently. Meaning, Glenn's mom and dad and the brothers and my kids and my wife. But it's been a pretty grueling process. To have to go through each of these steps. That you go through, and nobody really knows about that until something happens, and it's tiring and grueling and hard work sometimes. But we really learned a lot about Glenn that we didn't know about before, also, which has been great. We probably never would, if he would have come home and shown us all his pictures and everything. We probably would have never known as much about as we do about his time in Kabul as we do now. So that's been a good thing,
I'd like to reiterate what Jerry said as far as people rallying around us. It's more than what we could have asked for, just in terms of prayer, support, caring for us in various ways, bringing us food, bringing us meals for a week or maybe a couple weeks, whatever it was. And when I think of it, yes, there was grief, there was sorrow, and there still is. But to me, the bottom line is caring and blessing that came forth through this experience.